Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3 and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
As always, we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 1 and Lance by Chance, written by Vinny Berry, available at WrestleVille.com, by Super Vows and Pas de Deux, written by Kevin Kelton, available on Amazon, AO Money Meech, Camouflage, When the Deadbolt Breaks, Buzzard Canyon, the great people over at Connecticut People Records, our wrestling commentary home of New Heights Wrestling, and today we are going to be talking Monday Night Raw viewership numbers. Now, like anytime with these numbers, I get them from the WrestleNomics Patreon, and I'm trying not to go over my head on explaining them. Like, Raw had 1,647,000 viewers on average. That's the lowest viewership since January 17th, and it's crazy to think that almost 2 million viewers is its lowest. It's down 9% from last week in total viewership on average. The 3 highest quarter hours were the first one with the Seth and Cody live promo. That was 1,873,000 viewers. The second lowest, or the second highest, was Naomi and Sasha versus Ripley and Liv Morgan, the ad break, the Ripley promo, and then the DeVille Belair promo. That was the third segment, and that was 1,839,000. So not too much of a dip, a little dip, and then bounce back up for that third segment. And then that happens again from the third to the fifth segment, where Owens, Ezekiel, and Chad Gable had the live promo, and then you had Gable versus Ezekiel. And that was the fifth segment, 1,827,000 viewers. So the 3 highest viewed segments are up there. Now, the 3 lowest viewed quarter hours were Cody versus Owens and the ad break. That was the last segment of the show, the 12th one, at 1,398,000 viewers. The second lowest viewed quarter hour was Lashley Omos MVP promo, the Cody Rhodes entrance, and the first 2 minutes of the match. That was the 11th segment, and that was 1,406,000 viewers. And the third lowest viewed segment was the double commitment ceremony and the ad break. That was a 10th segment at 1,495,000 viewers. Now, to give you an idea, SmackDown, its highest segment, 2,343,000 viewers. Its lowest segment was 2,040,000. Dynamite's highest segment, 1,131,000 viewers. Its lowest, 948,000. So SmackDown is obviously the top show, Raw second, and Dynamite is hanging in there for third. It's the highest contending amongst like Impact, MLW, New Japan, but it's just not, it's touching, like maybe getting close to Raw, but not even touching SmackDown. So how does Dynamite attempt to bridge the gap? I think they're doing a good job right now with the people they're bringing, the people they have on their roster, having a CM Punk match every night, having a Daniel Bryan match most every night. You've got Sting coming out a lot. You've got the Hardy Boys. You've got that roster. And I think as time goes on, because they've only been going a couple of years, as time goes on, I think they will do better at bridging that gap. How much does a network affect viewership? SmackDown obviously being on Fox, USA has Raw. Is Fox that much different from Raw? Let us know in the comments. I'm not 100% sure. I would think you'd be able to get either NTNT for that matter with like most basic cable. But I mean, I'm Direct TV. I don't know how wild of a plan, but it has all of these. And maybe Fox being that bigger network, giving it more of a sports push. I've seen WWE brought up during football, which is kind of funny now that the WWE is claiming they had better social media than the Super Bowl. And the only last question I have here is, does that third hour make a difference or not? You see Dynamite and SmackDown does real good numbers. Dynamite is holding in there. Raw, that third hour is where you see the most drop off, but even at their lowest drop off, there's still 1.3 million, a little over. So I don't know if you can really get away from being that. Let me see. Cage My IQ. I think being on Fox, that is big. I didn't know it was a free main channel. So that would account for like that bigger gap in SmackDown viewership, because Raw, you would think SmackDown and Raw are more or less the same thing. I went to SmackDown this past Friday in Worcester, and it was a good show live. On TV, it might have been disappointing. But I mean, live, we got the dark match of Cody and Seth, so that was great. But how is Dynamite going to compete? And that's really the biggest question. Like, I don't think they should add a third hour. They're kind of at their sweet spot now, have a couple different shows. But that's really just me briefly going over. Having 3 hours definitely drags Raw out. And it would be a well-rated show if they just did the 2 hours. But like I was saying, when you have so many viewers in that third hour, does it make sense to cut it? Like, I don't know. I'm worried SmackDown is eventually going to go to that third hour and maybe start dragging down what's a good show there. But like you said, Fox has the bigger numbers. Now, tomorrow, I'm hoping to come back with NXT numbers. I plan on having far less to say about NXT than this. So hopefully I can bring some kind of news story or something with it. But thank you for tuning in, Cage My IQ. And anybody watching this later on, leave your thoughts in the comments. Let us know, like, how much do you think the network affects the viewership, and what can Dynamite do to bridge the gap? And until tomorrow, have a good day.